What is up, everyone? JD here. Hope you're all doing well today. We're going to be doing my full review of the Devo Knives Pony Stout. Let's get into it. All right, so you're probably wondering why I have this pouch out here because, and if you follow me on Instagram, you may already know, I'm actually carrying the micarta Pony Stout in my water slide. It's an okay fit. It's a little snug, but really it's not that bad, and it matches my headset. So I have these two knives here, and I'm trying to decide which one I like. There was overwhelmingly the popular vote was for the micarta one, and after spending a little bit of time with them, I kind of am leaning towards the micarta just because I like the feel and the look of it. But I did want to say, you know, the G10 on here, QSP did a phenomenal job on this. It feels really nice in hand. It is textury, but it feels like a carbon fiber more than it does like a G10. So really comfortable, and the contouring on it and everything feels really nice. And it actually feels just a little bit more solid than the micarta variant. The micarta variant, for some reason, and I wanted to bring the scale out here because I'm not 100% sure, but the micarta variant almost feels like it's a little bit lighter. I don't know. It's probably in my head. 3 ounces. Let's see what the G10 comes in at. 3.2. So, I mean, it felt like it's just a little bit heavier in hand, but I don't know. 0.2 ounces, I feel like it would be hard to pick up. But I did want to cover that. But for today, we are going to put the black one away again because I think I am leaning towards the micarta variant. We're going to go ahead and do some size comparisons, and then we will jump into my thoughts and impressions. And as you saw, it already comes in at 3 ounces, so it's a nice lightweight carry in my opinion. First, we're going to bring out the CJRB Echo. As you can see, this is clearly more of a small knife, pouch knife, fifth pocket knife. Here it is against the Civivi Praxis. So if you're familiar with either one of these knives, no surprise here, this is smaller. I am going to go ahead and move the Echo out of the way, and then I am going to bring over the Benchmade Bug Out, because this is a knife that comes in at under, is it under 3 ounces? It's actually been a little while. Hold on, let's check real quick. Even with the Flytanium scales, actually this might be right at 3. 2.8. Thank you scale. 2.8. It is slightly lighter, not by much though. And we'll go ahead and bring out the Protect Mordax for anyone that's familiar with either one of these knives. I mean, I don't think it's a surprise, right? It's a sub 3-inch blade. It's a really small knife. I don't think it's too hard to tell that it is much smaller. We will do the Demco AD 20.5, and for anyone with a PM3 or a Shaman, they're roughly about the same size. So there you go. I'm not going to do any thickness profile comparisons because I really don't think that it's necessary. I think that we are pretty well established here that this is a small knife. Now let's jump into it. The micarta on here is so well done. It feels really nice in hand. They did a good job making sure that they roughed it up enough so that you have some texturing to it. It is really well knocked down around all of the edges on here. So really comfortable. You have good lock bar access. You can see the tab sits up proudly. I appreciate that, having larger hands with it being a smaller knife. No issues getting in there from the side, laying it flat, or if you like to do it that way, you can pull it up. So really good lock bar access. You have a nice wire pocket clip on here. It actually doesn't flex too much. It feels pretty sturdy. And I don't know if that's the way that they did it because the fold over comes down really sharply and then it comes up, so it goes in and out of that pocket nicely. It's a little stiff. I've been trying to work it in, but I am trying to put it into an elastic pocket in a pouch. So I'm saying that it's stiff, but that's primarily how I've been carrying this. I did test in the jeans to see if it'd go in the fifth pocket, and it does. It fits perfectly in the 5th pocket, goes all the way down, and you just get this little tiny bit of the hilt sticking out, not much at all. I love that they did the blade steel tucked away in here on the back spacer. Great idea. Keep that up. It gives me ideas of like little messages or things. You could put like dead nuts in there or something like that if you wanted to on your premium knives. I don't know if you want to do that, but it would be hilarious. Excuse the language. If you did that, I would die. It would be hilarious. It would be too funny. I think they did that so they could engrave on here, and I think it just makes it easier. I think that's G10. Is that G10? I can't tell. Are the layers in there? Or is it steel? I'm hoping it doesn't pick up on. I think it's a steel backspacer. I think it's a steel backspacer, and I saw where he did the disassembly. All the hardware is steel, and that's how they're able to keep the cost down a little bit. So 14C20N, 28N with a 3-inch blade that is really well done. QSP, I said Civivi, sorry. QSP does a really good job with their stone washes. I think they do some of the best work with the stone washing that you see, whether it's on the black wash or whether you're getting stone wash on a satin blade. It has a really nice edge, came razor sharp from the factory. There is almost a smile starting on it from the factory. I would like to see QSP either just extend the choil out a little bit further, just kind of round it out and come out a little bit more just to get away from that sharpening choil. I think that might be easier because the plunge ground isn't actually that bad on it. It's not going out too far. It's actually tucked in pretty closely. So maybe extending the choil out could have done it. I don't want to put my own sharpening choil on here because I don't want to take the black wash off, but I either have to decide, am I going to be okay with a little bit of a smile because the plunge ground doesn't come out too far? Or do I just want to put in a little bit of a sharpening choil as I go? Like not make it super deep, but just kind of match the sharpening choil to that. Or if I wanted to, I could take a Dremel out here and knock it out and come out a little bit further, so that, but it actually might benefit me to do that, to be honestly, Lord have mercy, I am struggling today, to be honest, because when I use this forward finger choil and I go up to the second knuckle, I do feel the edge a little bit there, so it might be worth it for me just to extend this forward choil here a little bit more for myself. Going back to the ergos though, because I am getting sidetracked a little, it is thin in the hand, but it's a small knife, right? I can't ask for too much here. It's a sub 3-inch knife. You know, it's a companion carry in my mind, unless you live somewhere where you have restrictions due to stupid laws. So for me, it's going to be a little small, but it's a small knife. So I'm not saying that to pick at it. I'm just saying it feels small in hand because I have large hands. The pocket clip, it does, you see here, it does kind of leave an impression when I'm gripping it, but I am not going to be doing any hardcore heavy duty cutting. This is going to be, again, a companion carry. It's going to be in the pouch. If I have like my relative or something like that, and I don't want to break a box down with that, I can grab this. The other thing that I am carrying in my pouch too is I have the tactical keychains. What a Slide, that's the pouch, have their slide, which has the box cutter blade in it, which is universal. So I'll use that as well. But this is going to be one that I'm not going to have any issue with breaking out and cutting with, because it's 14C28N, because it's budget territory. Not that it's not nice. I'm saying I'd rather use this and abuse this for that type of stuff. But I think it would do pretty good cutting a box. And actually, I have one out here from my last video just to show you. It is really slicey. I'm gonna have to clean it again now, but as you can see, no issues. I'm trying to make sure I'm not too close to the edge going through this nasty cardboard. I'm being careful too, so I can try to make sure that I keep it on camera. But regardless of how you're cutting it, I mean, it performs really well. I'm just gonna toss all this on the floor real quick. One of the beautiful things about being out in the garage. And just to show you the stone wash from QSP, it usually cleans up really well. You might need like just a little bit of oil to take some of that off of there, but it has a really good edge on it. It'll hold onto that edge for a long time, and it cleans up pretty well in my opinion, even with it being the black wash. So I like the look of the black of the blue. I do want to switch out the hardware, but I'm going to wait for my disassembly video. Kevin's is already out there, so it'll have been out there for a few weeks by the time this gets into the rotation to go out for a review. But I really do like it a lot. I think it's really well done. And, you know, Kevin's a cool guy, and he supports so many channels in the community, and, you know, so many small makers, large makers. Like, he does a lot of boutique stuff, and he does a lot of stuff for small batch. And I think because it's a little bit more unique and it's usually coming from a small designer, that's why he's motivated to support them. And I appreciate that, because that's part of the community. It's a big part of the community. And I really like that he does that. So I enjoy supporting him. And, you know, while the original stout was nice and it was cool, it wasn't really me. I really much more enjoyed the mash and the buzz. I love both of those knives and those designs. They really speak to me. But the pony stout, for some reason, I think because of the ratios and the dimensions here, I really like this design and this size. It's really, really cool. And then, you know, micarta is something that I really enjoy because I like how leather patinas. So micarta, I'm going to really like how that patinas. Really cool. I like that aspect a lot. Reversible deep carry pocket clip, blacked out hardware. I mean, the bearing action on here is really good. The detent is nice. It has pretty good sounds for a small knife. As you can tell, it takes a minute for it being small. I have to kind of move around a little bit. So the sounds, as I'm talking over the sounds. So I just wanted you to see, I have to move around just a little to get into position to be able to kind of thumb it out and then reverse lick it out. But the sounds are pretty good. I like that a lot. Lockup, you're coming in at about 30 to 40%. It's a very thin blade stock, so your lockup is really small. And again, I already talked about the lock bar access. You got ceramic bearings. The bearings from QSP are really well done. Honestly, you wouldn't need to upgrade it. I typically don't put skiffs on my budget knives because I feel like ceramic bearings on a budget knife, especially when it's centered and everything's in, you know, working really well, there's not motivation for me to replace those. Not that skiffs always make a huge difference on more expensive knives, but I have found that it does feel just a touch smoother, and I think that's because it's encased in a solid housing, whereas these are hollowed out. I don't know that it's probably placebo, but I kind of feel like it does make a difference. But for the money and what you're paying and what you're getting from this knife, and it is smaller batch, so I know that you can get other 14C28N knives for probably a little less money. But the thing I think is, when you get it in a small batch, it's a little more unique. Not as many people are going to have it. You're not going to find it as often. It's going to be a very different design than what you normally see. Now, the one thing that did come to mind was the mini penguin, because I did do, if you remember when I did my full-size stout, I compared it against the penguin large because, you know, they kind of were similar. I thought that was a very good comparison knife to compare it to. And they're both made by QSP, right? So it was like I had to do it. And I kind of want to say the same thing, like the mini penguin would probably be a good comparison to look at for this. So it is cool. He did ask, you know, if anyone would be interested in a more premium pony stout. For me, no, I wouldn't want a more premium pony stout. Would I like one that had maybe some carbon fiber or some fat carbon scales? Hell yeah. But I wouldn't want a titanium M390. I would want to do like a mash type build. I would like to see the 14C28N carried over. And then for like the 120, 130 bucks, I'd like to see fat carbon and camo carbon. I think that would be sweet as hell, because then it's still affordable for folks that are down in this territory that went for this knife, that like this knife. And I think it would be popular as hell because no one else is doing it. You're not seeing a sub 3-inch budget steel, and a high-end budget steel, right? A premium. It's not 9CR, it's not VG10. This 14C28N 154cm is like the premium budget, like the high end of budget in my opinion. Even S30V Even though it has higher edge retention than all of them, I think that's like the pinnacle top end of premium budget steels, because you can still get them for around 100. So I think 14C28N or S30V with the fat carbon, camo carbon, if you can do it for the same price that you were doing the mash, I think that would be sweet, and I think it would look good, and I think it would be very popular. But this is just my opinion. Let me know what you think down in the comment below, and I think Lefty would probably read some of that feedback if you guys thought that that would be a hella combination of getting some fat carbon, camo carbon with like 14C28N or 154CM or something like that, depending on which one's more affordable to keep the build cost down, because I think that would appeal to a lot of folks, because you're not seeing that from manufacturers. When you look at like Kaiser's fat carbon, camo carbon with the 154CM and all that crap, I think that's like closer to $200. So he'd be undercutting them for a knife that I think would do really well, in my opinion. I think the Pony Stout, again, the dimensions look better to me personally, but that's just my feedback for him. I think this is really, really cool. I think it was a great idea, and hopefully he likes the feedback, and I think you got a banger here, bro. Thanks, and shout out to everyone that watches the videos, leaves the likes and comments. I appreciate each and every one of you. I hope you have a fantastic week, and until next time, peace.